Hey, everybody. Hopefully my internet connection will be a little bit better here. I am outside. The signal is... we will see how this works. Lots of stuff to report. We had the parks panel this morning with lots of announcements and news. I'm going to run down some of that. We'll have a couple others probably sneaking in here behind me at some point to share some of their experiences and things that they saw and heard as well. But kind of want to run down a little bit of some of the parks panel and my reactions to some of it. And I'm going to kind of go in order. I've got like 2 pages of scribbled notes here that I wrote in the dark, so hopefully I can actually read everything. One of the first things that he announced was the Happily Ever After theme is coming back. Later on, he referenced that Magic Kingdom was actually getting a new night show entirely, but they're going to bring the Happily Ever After song back into the fireworks, which is great. Honestly, I really like that. It's kind of weird. I like the fireworks portion of the current show, but I like the theme music for Happily Ever After much better. So I'm happy that's coming back. I thought that was a great addition. They mentioned a new Pixar show for Disneyland Paris. You're going to hear lots of Pixar stuff here. For Disneyland, you've got a brand new Mando character, which honestly, I was really very, very cool looking Mando character, and a new Hulk character to be walking around. The Hulk character actually starts next week, and Mando will start showing up at Galaxy's Edge in November. And they did make a couple other announcements for Disneyland that there is a new attraction that they're going to be working on for the Avengers Campus. So a third attraction. And it's going to revolve around King Thanos. The multiverse is coming in, and you've got a victorious Thanos that you then have Avengers coming in from all sorts of different dimensions. And so they gave us this, which kind of gives you an idea. So kind of hold it up here so you can see it. Of all the different heroes fighting against King Thanos, looks like a water ride to me. So that was probably the one big ride announcement that was there. They also announced that they are going to be changing over the Pacific Wharf area of California Adventure to San Francisco, the Big Hero 6 city, which I am kind of mixed about. Okay, it's nice that they're doing that, but they're taking an actual California area of the park, and here comes more IP. And you're going to see this as a theme in everything that's announced. It's all IP, all movies, all characters, and stuff like that. But Pacific Wharf is going to get converted over to a movie theme with the Big Hero 6 meet and greet. That was the big attraction in it. Look at the architecture, and oh yes, you can beat Baymax. They're also finishing the conversion of the Paradise Pier Hotel to the Pixar Place Hotel because, you know, the original theme wasn't good enough. We got to get the IP in there. Paradise Pier Hotel is a pretty hotel, and I don't know. In any case, Downtown Disney, their big, huge announcement was a dozen new and rethemed locations in it, including a new Porto's Bakery. You can see Trouble showed up behind me here. They gave us all samples from Porto's, which was really nice. Porto's does a great bakery. That's going to be a great fit there. Toontown is going to be opening the last half of 2023 with the new Runaway Railway. So that is coming up. Honestly, I think the artwork they were showing us, I think that it's going to look much better here at Disneyland than it does at Studios. It looked like it fit in better. They've actually got theme to the whole area. I thought that was going to, that looked really nice. And then they finally made the announcement for Tiana's Bayou, the remake for Splash Mountain. They're planning late 2024. So if you want to get rides in on the current Splash Mountain, you better do it quick because it's going to be closing and that's going to be it. So, what are they doing in Toontown? Are they redoing it all? No, they, Donald's Boat will still be there. They are updating it, but it's still going to have the same look. So Toontown is what you love about Toontown is still going to be there. So not a major change that way, just refreshed and renewed, which I liked. Walt Disney World. Harmonious ends this next year, and they're bringing in a new version of that. I like Harmonious, but we'll see how that goes. They're taking the center of the park that's just a massive mess, and they're calling it the Communicore Festival Center. They got a couple stages, and it's like, this will be where our festivals are. So we're taking the beer garden that was going to be elevated, and I guess we're putting it down on the ground now. That's about what I got from that. Let's see here. Trying to remember, the Moana Garden is opening up in late next year. That actually looked really nice. They're bringing back a Figment character to do meet and greets, and said nothing else about it. I didn't say anything at all about Dreamfinder. I'm sure they have some of the old Figment costumes left. I don't know if they're going to pull those out of storage or what they're going to do. But Figment's coming back from meet and greets, and they made that like it was a huge announcement. Hey, we're going to start doing what we used to do. And the crowd went wild. They really did. It was. They do have a new cruise ship that they're introducing with an adventure theme called the Treasure. I was kind of like, why don't you just call it the Adventure? Because they really emphasize the adventure, and it's called the Treasure. Because at the end of an adventure, you get a treasure. Okay. But they are going to start doing cruises out to Australia and New Zealand. So they're going to have Disney cruises around there, which will be really cool. They also have a new island they're doing called, if I got this right, and I can read my writing, the Eleuthera, which is going to be 90% solar powered. And right now, it's just an island. There's nothing there. So then other big announcements in the parks. Shanghai is getting a Zootopia land. Hold on to that thought. They are also getting Duffy and Friends is also, this is tied in because they did a whole big to-do about Duffy, introduced one of Duffy's friends. Duffy and Friends actually is going to have a show on Disney Plus because they're going to try again to bring Duffy back into the stateside parks where nobody cared except for the people visiting from Japan. So Hong Kong's getting a statue. Isn't that exciting? Yeah, it's a brand new statue of Walt and Mickey with Walt on the bench going. They are getting a new Frozen Land with 2 attractions, including Oaken's Sleigh, which is a roller coaster. That's supposed to open late 2023. That actually looked nice. So the big addition to Hong Kong is the Frozen Land that's already under construction, already announced, and will open up late next year. Disneyland Paris is also getting their Frozen Land, and they showed pictures again of the lake and the promenade from the back of the park going out to the lake. And the Frozen Land, they did announce a new Tangled attraction is coming. Didn't say a whole lot about that. And that they're remodeling one of their hotels. More IP. Tokyo is also getting a Frozen attraction in 2024. They showed a video of one of its animatronics that looked amazingly like Elsa on the Frozen Adventure at Epcot, except she was singing in Japanese and moved and lip synced with that. It looked about the same. But everybody oohed and awed and how amazing that was. And, okay. But it's in Tokyo. It will be done right. They also announced that Disney Sea is getting Fantasy Springs, its eighth port of call at the park, but they didn't say much about that. But again, it's Tokyo Disney. They're going to do it right there. Space Mountain in Tokyo is also getting a bit of a makeover, so it looks amazing at night, and the pictures they showed there looked absolutely amazing. And they are going to get a bit of a Tomorrowland refit for 2027 in Tokyo. Not in the States, not Disneyland, not Magic Kingdom. Nothing mentioned about Tomorrowland here at all. No people mover changes. No retheming. They did mention, though, that they are going to actually do something about Dino Land at Animal Kingdom, that they're going to completely redo it to Zootopia. Yay!
Let's go get that rabbit.
Yeah. They did mention that they are going to have an area, too, they're planning to put in, hopefully, with Moana also in there, but it is basically they're going to rip out all of Dino Land and rebuild a whole new land, Zootopia. I don't know what that means for Dinosaur. I think we're going to hear a lot of, they're not going to make it. They're not going to make it. Because I don't think it's going to make it. That was basically the announcements of what they're actually going to do. So nothing about Tomorrowland, nothing about Hollywood Studios. Everything was IP. IP this, IP that. Yeah, Carolyn is mentioning Zootopia at Animal Kingdom because it's animals. So therefore it fits at Animal Kingdom. And it's IP. And you notice every single new land and attraction they mentioned, it was all IP. Yeah, it is going to take them a while to do that. So expect the rest of Dinoland to get shut down. Expect that to be a several years long project. It's not going to be anything new. Kevin actually mentions too that the Hatbox Ghost is going to be put into Haunted Mansion and Magic Kingdom. That is correct. They are bringing him in. So that was kind of one of the big Magic Kingdom announcements was the Hatbox Ghost is coming. So then they started doing, okay, let's talk about the blue sky, the pie in the sky, the big dream. And this is stuff that they announced that may or may not happen. This is kind of, well, we're thinking about this. And they actually spent probably 30 minutes talking about what may or may not ever happen. So this is the Beyond or Behind Thunder Mountain that you may have heard about, where they talked about a Coco ride and going to the Day of the Dead. They talked about Encanto and visiting the village and being able to go into the Madrigal's home. They talked about a Villain's Land that, yes, it could possibly be there. They talked about the 100-year celebration and how they've got a bunch of platinum decoration and they're bringing back a parade that they haven't had for a while since COVID. They're bringing back the parade. But again, lots of dreaming. Well, this may happen. We'd like to do this. We'd love to do a Villain's Land. But this is way down the road and it may not ever happen and it will change. And, we've done a few sketches. And really not anything majorly announced that we didn't know. A few characters, a new bakery, a retheming of a couple areas, Zootopia, which has been rumored to be in the works for quite a while, the Hatbox Ghost. I'm just kind of looking down here. The cruise ship was new, sort of. Okay, the King Thanos Avengers ride was probably the one actual new big ride. So, so Tom, what about that crazy treehouse at Disneyland? They said nothing at all about the tree at Disneyland, which is going to disappoint this guy because he likes the tree. Said nothing about that. Everything that they announced, every new attraction and land was an IP. And in many cases, they're replacing areas that were not IP. So at this point, I think one of the things we're going to have to accept is that Disney is going away from anything original. I mean, just totally unique. And if it's not tied in somehow to a movie and characters, oh well, which I understand because they have so many, but that you can forget about seeing anything in the future like Pirates of the Caribbean or Haunted Mansion or something that's just completely original. Doesn't sound like that's going to be happening. Kevin, no news on any resorts at Walt Disney World. No, didn't say a thing. So, Arjun, for the blue sky, I had the feeling it was more for them. What to do next. Honestly, it was like a brainstorming session, and they would let us in on it a little bit. So that's kind of what was there. I was definitely a bit disappointed overall. I was hoping to get a little bit more. And I mean, they had lots of opening dates and stuff that's been in progress. So, we finally have a date for Tron and Tiana that was announced how many years ago? But yeah, that's basically kind of what they've got. So, so Craig just came out of the Imagineers session. Anything interesting there?
Not especially. It was split into two pieces. First, they had Creative Imagineering. That ran a little bit long. They had a panel of 5 people. It was iWorks' granddaughter, I think
Yes.
it was, who was the panel host. And
Moved on and then her.
Yeah. And some interesting stories there. One of the most notable ones to me was that the hand mold for Lincoln that her
Yes.
father did, that she brought home and like scaring people with, hide it in the fridge and stuff like that.
So if you ever see the Lincoln history, the hands on it are actually modeled on her dad.
Yep. And then they switched to a technical section, brought out 5 other Imagineers, talked about technology, what resonates with them, some about the importance of, this tied in with the first section as well, importance of listening with guests, showed a little bit of a clip of an interactive character that's robotic IP that they're testing in limited forms at the Galactic Star Cruiser, but a lot of disclaimers on there, limited test, may not be available. So it'll be interesting to see how much of that, if any, becomes permanent, kind of like the Hulk.
Yeah.
When they say it's a limited test run, I'm not going to hold my breath on getting to see it personally, but
I will say the Mando outfit looked amazing.
yes,
The Hulk one, meh.
the whole armor scheme that he was, I saw that one on the live stream.
Yeah.
It didn't look that impressive on the screen.
It looked very awkward and stiff, almost like a Wreck-It Ralph kind of thing.
I'd rather more of Wreck-It Ralph coming along and give him more animated possibilities.
They did have 3 musical numbers in the parks thing. They had a huge musical deal for Happily Ever After. They did, oh goodness, what's the song from Frozen 2? Into the Unknown.
Yeah, don't say
with with
get that in there.
But they did it in Cantonese, Mandarin, and Japanese, which is really neat. I really like that. And then they closed out, and honestly, the part that probably hit me the most, and I will admit I did shed a few tears, was the very end, when all of a sudden in all this other stuff, they remembered why we do what we do. And they closed out showing a bunch of clips of people coming to the Disney parks or getting told they're coming, kids getting out, hey, do you want to go to Disney today? And people crying when they reach the parks and meeting the characters. And as I'm watching this, I was like, that's why I was a cast member for 5 years. That's what made Disney special. That was what was amazing. And they had they had a number of cast members come out and line the aisles. And I was like, that's what it is about, is that kind of magical experience. And it felt like in all this other stuff, they've forgotten that. And at the end, oh yeah, maybe we ought to remember the people.
That did resonate with the Imagineering panel. They talked about some of their favorite parts. I used to say it was at night when the parks were empty, and then after the pandemic closure, they changed their mind and decided the real magic is when people are in there to experience it and seeing how they react to things you've created.
Yes.
It was an interesting spin and an interesting thanks to all the guests who are experiencing what Imagineering puts together and are the reason they're doing it.
Yep. And it was just, it was interesting because right after that panel, right after I had this wonderful, cry over the people and the memories and everything, I went out and I was trying to book my shopping virtual queue, which I've been trying all weekend, never got in. And the app, of course, crashed again and locked up and crashed and couldn't do anything. So I stopped at one of the stores and said, look, I've been trying all weekend to get in, and this is what I get, showing her the crash screen. She's like, sorry. Oh, well, you can go talk to guest relations. And so I went up to guest relations here, which is being run by cast members, and explained it. And they said, well, I can write it down a note. Okay. You going to put any contact information on it? No, but it'll get past the management. Like, okay, so no contact information, nothing solid. You know where that's getting filed, in the round file cabinet at the floor.
Tick mark, one more guess.
Yep.
App problems.
And they said, and I can't do anything. I can say, I'm sorry, but they didn't give us any tools to do anything about it. And so we went from this wonderful remember the guests to, the guests.
Well, and that's interesting, too, with the expo staff. When I was coming in, there was a sign saying the premiere hall was a U-turn. So I turned around. I saw 5 people walking from bag check toward the main center right here behind us. and asked them, is the entrance for the premiere stage in there? We don't know. We were just working the front. If you go to the front and ask a lady in the white shirt, what was her name? They bantered between each other. She might know. So I just went in the door and started looking at signs inside the building and saw, oh, premiere stage, it's up there. So got into another set of taped off lines. But
they have changed procedures every single day for going to the sessions, going in and going out. It's really frustrating because they're not telling the people here, the cast members working, what's going on. They don't know. They're just getting thrown out there. They're not getting informed. They're not getting tools to find out. They're not getting tools to help the people here. And you kind of go, okay, you just showed this video about how important your guests are and the cast members working with them, and then you don't give them the ability to do that. And that was really frustrating, to just kind of get a reminder of what happened last time I was here at Disneyland, when the cast members couldn't do what they needed to do to help a guest. And it's just like, guys, all the IP stuff, okay, even if you had great announcements that I would have been excited about, take care of your cast members and give them the tools to take care of their guests. Stop cutting back on that and remember what's happening. That was probably the biggest thing I took away. It's like, okay, I actually came out of the parks deal excited, a little disappointed they weren't talking about a few things, but okay. And then to immediately have that reminder of how they've forgotten. And Craig and I, all weekend, we've had things we've liked, and then we've had things we've been incredibly frustrated with. We're in this place that's 3 hours away from 100,000 person Comic-Con, and they can't figure out how to operate in traffic control and stuff here. And it's, come on, guys, call the people at Comic-Con, talk to them. They could tell you how to do this. So, yeah. D23 has been fun. It's been informative. I've had a good time. I don't know necessarily I want to be back, and I'm very grateful for Craig for sponsoring me, and I hope he knows that. But yeah, we've talked about it, and we're kind of like, okay, yeah, we've done this.
Been here, done that. Bucket list, check.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I hope that Disney remembers that for all their efforts at the nickel and dimes, that they're giving up the dollars later on.
Yep.
So, because I think that's what's happening. I always go back to this story from Marty Sklar, who worked on the very first souvenir book that they ever did for Disneyland. And Walt wanted it priced at $0.25. And so Marty put this together, and he had everything ready. He came up to Walt, this book is going to cost us 24 cents to produce and put together and put in the stores. We're not going to make any money on it. Do you want me to raise the price? And Walt said, no. On the book, and other people are going to see it, and we will make more money long term off of that book we didn't make any money off of than if we made a profit on it.
Now, the only downside I see with that, and being a little bit of devil's advocate here, is the parks are so crowded and they're implementing so many measures with park passes and things like that. They don't need to drive attendance anymore.
No, but what I'm afraid is going to happen is people are going to come home with such negative experiences.
True.
That they're going to end up 2-3 years down the road, attendance is going to drop, and they're not going to have answers for it.
Yeah,
because they're going to have cut back so much.
I hope not, but
yeah, I hope not.
But I'm afraid that's what they're thinking, is they don't need to try and drive attendance and people coming back. And yet, ironically, they're saying, why aren't people coming back to do Galactic Star Cruiser again? $6,000 and nothing really changes. You choose light side or dark side, maybe, and that's about it.
Right, and that's a great example, I think, of the short-sighted thinking that they've got. Is they're saying, hey, we got record crowds now. Let's just make these people satisfied, not necessarily even happy, but satisfied. We'll give them the basics. Overcrowded park, and we assume that they'll come back. But you're cutting back on stuff. And it just seems to be this growing tide. It was interesting, the very first day at the Legend ceremony, how much Bob Chapek got booed. I think I I'm concerned for the future.
Now, I will say at the parks, though, last night I went in after dinner to go see Fantasmic and watch the fireworks. And coming in about a half hour before Fantasmic, I knew there wasn't going to be a lot of availability. I asked 3 different cast members. They kept giving me good directions to where I should go for availability. And I ended up with a pretty good spot. So it was a complete opposite of a lot of the staff at the expo.
Yes.
If they gave directions, they pointed you to a staff-only exit like we had happening yesterday.
Yes.
And things like that. So
there are
still good cast members.
There are a lot of amazing cast members. I'm just afraid that the tools that they're being given to do their job is getting cut back.
Yeah.
So, like I said, there's a reason I cried when the cast members came out. Because you don't work at Disney for the money. You work because of a passion for the company and for the guests. And so, let's see here, Ryan. They're coasting on the good reputation that Disney had in the past without realizing they are eroding it. You know, I'm not even sure if it's necessarily a realization. I don't think it's a concern. I think that's more what it is. Yeah. And Kathy, I don't think Chapek will ever redeem himself. The real Disney fans are being turned off. And I think it's a growing thing. Yeah, I probably ought to leave it there. So, but anyways, that's kind of our rundown. I will have a Tuesday video that's going to give an overview of D23 Expo, of what it was like, what there is to see, other things. I will have pictures and video from around the show halls and stuff like that. And yeah, let's see. Arjun, what you're talking about is the thing that's going on in Paris. The last new ride in the main park opened in 1996. After that, nothing new opens in that park. They did hint that there may be some changes to that, but right now I think their big concern there is studios is barely half a park. So they do want to fix that, but give it time. Let's see, I'm just looking. So new Frozen, new Tangled, hotel remodel, Pixar show. I don't remember if the Pixar show was at studios or in the main park, but that's kind of what I see for Paris. They know they have issues there. They got to get studios fixed up first, so it'll be coming. Oh, my daughter said they cut back training for Pocahontas or for PhotoPass to near nothing. I've heard that number of cases. I had over a week of training for PhotoPass. I'm hearing they're doing it in 1 day now.
Well, some people don't need as much training as you.
Don't make me sing.
Oh, boy. I retract that comment.
So, but anyways, that's kind of my rundown. Would love to hear your feedback in the comments below. You know, it's hard as a Disney nut. Just kind of going. I will say, though, I did pick up a number of things to give away for the 30,000 subs. I've actually been talking to a couple people about potential interviews and stuff, including former cast members. I may actually have a contact on the original Tinkerbell at Disneyland, the one who flew over the castle. And so I'm working on an interview there and a few other things that I did make contacts with. So hopefully we can get some of those to come out, because those will be really fun. I actually talked to a couple guys who were custodians at Disneyland for years, including when they opened up California Adventure and some of their stories. So that may be something as well, because that's a department I didn't deal with. So that trust me, they've got some neat stories. They got a couple books out and neat stuff. So we do have some things like that coming along. So working on some interviews, some collabs, some opportunities to hear from other cast members in the park, and crazy stuff from them. So anything you want to add about the expo?
Nah, I think you covered it pretty well.
So I hope you enjoyed this little look. Like I said, look for Tuesday for the big overview and wrap up and haul and all of that stuff, because, yep, there's stuff. I got my other bed in the hotel room is covered. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Hope you liked it. Please don't forget to hit that like button and share the video too. Subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get that 30,000 so I can give this stuff away. I mean, I picked up a couple books today. I got more pins. I got lanyards. I got bags with the Disney 100 celebration. You want to subscribe? Do it. Let's get there. Thanks so much, everybody. Have an awesome day, and we will see you soon.